we asked people to put us on a scale of 1 to 10 how familiar people are with AI. So it might be interesting if a few people can put that into the chat here whilst I'm talking. From a scale of 1 to 10, how familiar are you with AI? So we could also ask them to share any thoughts they have about the emergence of use of AI in their life, in the workplace and society. And are they currently using AI tools? And if so, provide details about the tools and their use. We also segmented by department, segmented by role, and kept it anonymous as well. So and did a lot of work to build a high engagement rate. We wanted to see where we were today in our business, and we already know we use we think we're using a lot of AI. Or AI is already impacting our business, but we wanted to get this start point of where are we. And I know you do this in your business when you're going in to see businesses. You need that basis of understanding where they are to start with.
And again, this is an interesting point for us to reflect on, because most of us aren't fully familiar with the impact it's already having on our daily lives. So when we were preparing for this session and we did a little bit of research, is the amount of things where AI will influence, whether that's, okay, you know, when you phone like a call center and the call handling and the routing of that call is done by AI. When you're making purchases on Amazon, when you're on social media, AI is heavily influencing your user experience. But there are other facets, and I think this is potentially something for us to explore, is what other aspects of our daily lives is being influenced by AI, even in a workplace, that we may not even be aware of, and particularly with some of the current sort of developments. What are the influences it's having on our daily lives, right?
Yeah, so if you're using Gmail, Gmail AI finishes off your sentences for you, right? As a starting point, that's happening immediately, right? If you're, for example, what we're using in our workplace, if we're writing ad copy for clients, we're using AI immediately. So there's so many areas where AI is influencing both the content that we're seeing and the content we're putting out as well.
And absolutely. And I think the second question is share your thoughts about the emergence of AI in your life, workplace, and society. And that's an interesting one, because, as I said, like, we've only really had a mainstream dialogue about it over the last 6 or 7 months. You know, other than that, unless you went looking for the information, it wasn't like in every newspaper, on every social media channel, every high-level person talking about it. But it just feels like, particularly over the last few months, it's become the topic du jour. But this has been growing for a time. This has been going on for a while. I remember listening to podcasts a couple of years ago about the growing impact on our daily lives. And from a cultural perspective, we are at a significant point of change. Particularly what happened during the pandemic, where a lot of people overnight started working from home. We became heavily reliant on some of our technological platforms to stay in touch, to be able to work and communicate. From our perspective, we never used Microsoft Teams until March 2020. The pandemic forced our hand, and now pretty much every aspect of the functioning of our organization is relying on Teams and similar platforms. So this has happened relatively quickly. So, for many organizations, including ourselves, we're still in that kind of getting to grips with a rapid and radical change. And I remember us speaking offline about this a few days ago. You said whatever you've learned now, whatever you've got to grips with now, is going to be outdated in a year's time, because things are changing so rapidly. So I think there's just some thoughts on this as well. It'd be interesting to hear from our participants today about your thoughts on not just the impact it's having today, but the rapidity of change. And what are your thoughts on that, Ray?
Yeah, the speed of change is the thing which I think about the most. And I showed you that graph before, that we're going to have this hockey stick. So when I go back to tools, I've tested a tool, looks great. Immediately I see another tool that's launched that's doing 10 times more than the other tool. You go and test that tool, and then there'll be another tool. So you almost get into this paralysis state of, do I do anything because everything's moving so fast, right? Or if I do something, or we built our own technology platform, you're building something knowing that it's maybe going to be redundant, right? It's going to be redundant in 6 months, 12 months, because somebody would have used AI to make the thing that you spent 2-3 years making. So there's real challenges in trying to think about what do I focus, like go back to what do I focus on today, knowing that tomorrow it still might not be relevant. I might not be able to use that tool. Let's look at ChatGPT as an example. So we can see here some of the participants, marked, being familiar with AI. You've got lots of fours, and I would assume there that a lot of people are using ChatGPT. Again, it would be a good thing to see if people can just put in there, what tools they're using when they're using AI. And so ChatGPT at the moment, people are playing around with it, asking questions. The best way to get the best results is the input you put into it. So the longer you can write a prompt, what they call, so you can give it context about what you're trying to do, context on who you are and what information you're trying to find. That's how you get the real information that you can use. And then you can take that, you can adapt it, you can ask questions on it, and you can refine it. But the way we use ChatGPT in a year is going to be very different, because the AI itself is learning, and also everything you're doing and writing these long prompts that we call them, they're all going to be in software tools. So all of us, what we're doing in ChatGPT is going to be almost redundant, because you're going to maybe be using something else. Google are bringing out their own version, Bard, which is not in the EU yet. But what's going to happen when that's integrated and launched? When you search on Google search, you're not going to get the search results you see today. You're going to get AI-driven results as well as the search results. So this is going to significantly change even how we interact with the internet.